Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of the Law Firm Blueprint. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Ruane, CEO of the Criminal Mastermind, as well as Firm Flex, your social media marketing agency for lawyers. And with me, as always, down there, Seth Jehoshaphat Price. My man Seth is the grand poobah of all things digital at Blue Shark Digital, as well as managing partner and grand poobah, or did I already say that? I said it, of Price Benowitz, DC, Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina, Idaho, Wisconsin, and Louisiana. Seth, how's your week going this week?
It's going great. And to dovetail to our guest, I think that when we're done speaking to Sam, we may have to open nationally because he's all about creating, funnels that I assume work better on a global basis than on the local basis.
It's really interesting. I've read his book. That's actually why we have him on the show, because I wanted to talk to him about the book. And so I reached out to him and we started chatting, and I realized that, he's really known in the community as legal funnels, right? You see that a lot on social media, but there's a lot more to his story. It's not just about funnels. It's a lot more about automation, which is what the book gets into, which was really sort of fascinating to me because I like using tech tools, and I thought he'd be a great guest to sort of talk about some of the things that he's been able to do, because a lot of people see his name, see the legal funnels product, but they aren't necessarily knowledgeable about what you could actually do with tech, with funnels and the like. So what I'd like to do is not waste any time and just get him right into the show. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, folks, we'll be right back with Sam Mollei, and be ready for a great interview. I think it's going to go really well. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Law Firm Blueprint. We are now joined by a wonderful guest, Sam Mollei, who is here with us to talk to us about his book, about how he got into this, being a law firm entrepreneur. I think serial entrepreneur in the law firm space is the way to describe you. Seth, please join me in welcoming Sam.
Welcome, Sam.
Thank you so much to you both.
I think we met you early on during the pandemic, during your rise, and being blunt, you talk about funnels, and I know it's a fraction of what you do overall. But the thing that I think is resonating with both Jay and myself is somebody who thinks that much about automations, where it brings that much joy to them to be able to figure out how to take the least efficient pieces of practicing law and make them more efficient is something that brings joy to our hearts. So love you to sort of share with the audience just bigger picture about globally, what are the things that you do to bring efficiencies to law firms?
Exactly. So let's tackle the funnel, because I think there's a misconception when people hear about funnels and sales funnels or Russell Brunson or ClickFunnels. There's always an association with these particular pages, usually these ugly looking pages with very flashy arrows, a lot of this
squeeze pages. For people who don't know, they're called squeeze pages. They're meant to bring you down, to hammer you to buy something right now.
Right. So that's the perceived way that most people think about funnels, but there's a lot more to it. And I'm more interested in the science and the art behind it, which means there's big overarching principles that anybody can apply to in any business, including lawyers and law firm owners, that they could also apply these concepts to be able to take somebody who has problems and get them signed up as a client. And that, when I say funnel, it's those overarching ideas, not the particular pages that you see, these ugly looking pages. So what are the overarching ideas? Honestly, the best way that I could explain it is 3 parts. In a funnel, the first thing you want to do is to get your clients, your prospects' contact information upfront before you do anything else. Okay, so always get their name, their email.
And that's not revolutionary, right? Jay's been doing this for years. He's building a list. Every time I say, "Why are you doing this?" "Oh, I'm building a list."
Right. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that list saved me during COVID. I had 7,000 people I could market to that hadn't hired us, and we were able to form a whole pardons and expungement practice out of people. So that
no, understood. I can still make fun of you, but it's good that it monetized.
And the thing is, everybody knows this, but everybody skips over it for some reason. No, you got to get their contact information and save it and do something with it. What do you do with it?
Just email or beyond? You're looking for cell phones as well as emails? What's your thought?
Minimum name and email, and ideally phone number. Phone number is a must, but if you get the phone number, you better do something with it right away, which we'll talk about. Second part of this system is you got to nurture. You got to build a relationship with people. You can't just get people who just come in and just buy from you. It doesn't work that way. That's not reality. And how do you nurture? Practical speaking is just a video and a bunch of emails. It means right away when they opt in, you get the contact information, send them to a video. You don't have to explain exactly what you do and how you can help them and what problem they have and all the social proof, all this stuff. Make one amazing, amazing video that you can use for many, many years, that anybody who opts in can see this video, so that when they get on a call, they're already nurtured, they already know what you're talking about, they're already more likely to be able to sign up with you. And then the emails part is, if they don't take action, hey, those series of emails will follow up with them even weeks and months later. So that's the second part. The third part is automation. That means whatever part that they haven't taken action yet, create those emails and those texts that automatically gets them to take the next desired action. If you haven't booked a call yet, go to this page, watch the video, go book a call. Okay, now you booked the call. Well, let me show you the series of testimonials and case studies that we have. And then once you set those three parts up, got their information, nurture them, and set up the automation. That's what I mean by the funnel. How you put that together is up to you, but that's basically what a funnel is.
So I'm smiling broadly because look, Jay, we've been in the space for a long time. To me, this is almost like the modern version of the drip campaign. Take the shock and awe package that people used to send that was very expensive, and instead turn it into an automated experience rather than a bunch of plastic crap that you don't really want in your house that comes days later that may or may not tie in.
Exactly. Automated and refined over time. Once you have this funnel, be able to continuously refine this instead of trying to do a lot of different things. I just have this one thing I got to focus on, and let me make this the best thing. And the secret sauce is based on your client calls and the words that they use. Those are the things you want to go put back into the funnel. Literally those exact words, and back into the emails, back into videos. And the more you go to do that, and the more we refine it, and the more ultimately you think about what is the easiest and best way that I could serve my clients, answer the questions, and get them to take action, is ultimately going to be the best funnel for your clients. And that changes over time. And that's the overarching idea.
One of the things that really fascinates me about the rise of digital technology and is that you can really allow the people out there to self-select all throughout this process, where they're raising their hand saying, I want more information about this. I'm interested in scheduling something. I'm reading the emails, because you can test open rates and see what subject lines are getting opens and where people are clicking on the emails, how much of the email they're reading. It's really sort of fascinating that it is a science. It's not something that you have to, deal with outside marketers. You can say, trust me on this, because you can actually turn around and look back at the numbers themselves and add things and divert people, and it's really a lot more technically advanced really in marketing than ever before, don't you think?
Totally. And then the funnel is just one aspect of it, but more importantly is you have the traffic, where your prospects are coming from, and that's where you need to, like Blue Shark and companies like that, to bring you qualified people that have those problems, to bring them to your funnel for you to, be able to automatically follow up with them and do everything else.
Well, I got two questions. One, do you use your own software? Do you use third-party software? What do you love for creating your funnels?
ClickFunnels, and it's been like that from day one. And there's a lot of good benefits from being in ClickFunnels. One is it's just easy to set up, that you can easily also share with each other and copy and quickly get it up. Second is the community and the education that comes with it. Once you kind of fall into the ClickFunnels world, it kind of exposes you to other courses and things and people and conferences. And that is I think the biggest part of the ClickFunnels world. And the people that don't know about ClickFunnels, all of a sudden they enter it, they read a book, they start learning about it, and their eyes open up. And that's a start of a beautiful journey. And that was the journey that I basically started 5 years ago.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into this yourself.
Yeah, so basically I worked for a little bit at an employment law firm for about 6 months, but I knew I had to get out. And I basically had to create my own journey and basically start my own law firm. So I started my law firm, but I had no guidance. I had no idea how to do anything at all. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So I basically started reading a lot of books and watching a lot of YouTube videos and clicking on every article and everything I could get my hands on. And that's when I basically got exposed to ClickFunnels and funnels, started learning about SEO, taught myself SEO. Then I taught myself Google AdWords. And I basically delved into this whole world of online marketing. But the good news is I always had something to apply to. I had my law firm website. So as soon as I would go learn something, I would go create it right away. Learn about Google Ads. Create Google Ads campaigns and set that up right away. And I started seeing results from that. And my first kind of epiphany came was when I was on an Israel trip about 6 years ago, and I had one of these funnels set up. And the funnel was set up to basically get people to come from Google Ads, to go through my funnel, to go fill out an application, to give me the answers that I need answered, and get their payment all in one shot. And I would basically just turn on the Google Ads campaign. And then I would get notifications throughout the day, ding, 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 of people making payments without me needing to sit there and explain my service, answer questions. So that, you know.
And which widget were you sell? What was the legal widget you had?
This particular one was for getting an EIN number for non-US citizens. So basically,
it's something that you
one pager. Yeah, it was one pager, but I noticed at the time there was no solution for this problem. It's just like one very simple one pager that you basically have to fill out correctly and follow with the IRS. Started offering this as a service, and at one point it was like 80% of my clients at one point in my law firm. But
which also we could, in that volume, also got your review count up.
Yeah, exactly. That helped a lot with that. And at the same time, like, wait a minute, this is so easy. I just have to bring in some traffic from Google Ads, create a funnel for it, set up automations for them to go through the application and make the payment. So I basically duplicated this for another service for I-10s and started duplicating over and over and over and over. It was literally as simple as copy and paste, write the same emails, make some webinar videos, automated videos, and I basically rinse and repeated the whole process over and over.
Look,
and then also,
yeah, no. But awesome, right? These were like out of the box things, and I get that the funnels will work for anything theoretically, right? You know, some less good in that, like a criminal case has less time, but if you still have a video getting used to the lawyer, that's all awesome. Are there orders of magnitude when you have stuff that's outside the box versus some of the more traditional areas? What have you learned? Because it's one thing to sort of say, hey, look, nobody's doing this. That's going to be a wildly successful funnel versus family law in Albuquerque. How do you sort of tailor it? Is there a difference between a one-off product versus something that's more commoditized?
Totally. It's a very good question. And I also had the same kind of questions. I'm like, okay, maybe I could see how this could work for transactional or for this particular thing, or if there's a lot more of these, maybe it makes sense. But I learned over time and through exposure to other people's funnels that were even outside of law, that basically funnel can be applied to anything and everything. It doesn't matter as long as there's people that have problems and you can solve it. That's going to ultimately, you're going to work your way until you get to building a funnel, because that's going to be your best chance that you have to getting them signed up. So as much as I'm concerned, it could be applied to these overarching concepts that we talked about, those 3 points. It doesn't matter what it's for. Ultimately, there's people that have problems. How do you get them signed up as a client? That's basically the way to do it. Second thing is, yeah, there are some practice types that give you a higher chance of succeeding with this. And I'll give you two. One is, a lot of people miss this. The value of the client really matters. So if you're trying to build a funnel for something that's like $300 or even $1,000, you're going to have a hard time. Why? Because there's a cost to getting this client. Even if you know what you're doing, your cost is going to be anywhere from like $300 to $1,000 potentially for you to get a client. So if that's the case, you better make sure that you have a high value for a client that you get, and make sure that's as high as possible. So
I think that's something that a lot of lawyers don't ever talk about. I mean, I'll be honest, Seth, I'm thinking about it now. I don't think in the last 6 months on this show, we have talked about cost per acquisition, cost per lead. You know, it's something that we factor daily. We're looking at it. I know you are definitely in my office. I know Sam, but a lot of lawyers are just like, I don't know what it costs. And it's interesting to me. And I'll just make this point and then I'll shut up again. I hear a lot of personal injury lawyers who are like, well, you know, I got that case referred into me. So there was zero cost per acquisition. And I say, you're giving away a third of the fee. That's a lot of cost.
Well, and you say that, but what about the branding? We talk about, the stuff that you're doing, the time you're doing. I mean, that third is an
ROI on your relationship. I mean, the time you're spending with that person developing.
Let's get back to Sam.
Yeah.
So high value, whatever that is, in my head, mine is like, I want minimum 3K, if not 5K.
Well, hold on, time out. But you just did this EIN thing. That couldn't have been 3K.
And that's why I basically stopped it, because, it
was fun. It showed the concept, but it wasn't.
It did pretty well for like 4 or 5 years. It did pretty well.
So, but what was the cost of your EIN product?
Basically like $150 to make like.
Right. But I guess to my original point, the cost of media was so cheap because nobody was fighting for those clicks.
Right.
For sure. And at that time it was also optimized. So anybody who would try to enter the space, I had a lot more, optimized funnel and system to be able to get it at a lower cost than them. But whatever it is, the point is, make sure that it's, higher value. And the third thing is don't limit the geographic location also matters. These days,
say it again.
The geographic location that you can serve really matters. It's like business 101. Make sure that you can charge high and make sure you have a bigger the pool to fish from. So, if you're just serving your city, practically speaking, it's going to be very hard for you to have a long, sustainable, business that's going to consistently bring you clients.
But I have a question. I'll challenge you on that in the sense, like, obviously it's more successful, right? So immigration lawyers have hit big on TikTok because anybody in the country, if not the world, could be a client. Get it. But when you're a PI lawyer or a criminal lawyer, the cost of the case, the value of the cases is so high that you're already doing media to bring people in. Why would, yes, it's not as successful because it's more expensive, but isn't the same principle at play for a smaller geography?
You're right. And I guess it depends on your competition and who's in your city. If you're a big person in a small city, then you probably do well. I'm just general kind of overarching big.
It's easier if it's a national play, which is why the course creators give this space. I don't want to say a bad name, but you could use it, as I heard the Wolf of Wall Street guy. Yeah, he was saying you could use this for good or for bad. You get people in a funnel. You could sell them nonsense, or you could sell them value.
For sure. But I think the point is I'm trying to drive in is at least be minimum. If you can serve your state, that should be where you should be shooting for. And then you're like, well, maybe it works. There are ways for you to somehow expand the state, building referral relationship. You could also be multi-state. I just mentioned something you'd like by hiring a UBE lawyer, or, UBE lawyers and referral networks and things like that. Ideally, state, multi-state, if not federal, usually give you a higher chance. But that doesn't mean.
I'll challenge once back, which is okay. So let's say you're in criminal PI family, right? State specific stuff. Yes, PI is easier to refer out. The other ones are harder to refer out meaningfully, monetizably. But if you're spending media nationally to create the funnel, unless that media is really cheap, if it's, that's becomes the part of the issue, right? So what is the cost of getting into the funnel? So if you have something that doesn't have a lot of competition and you're sort of first to market, great. But so the average PI lawyer, let's say, clicks are going at like $90 plus. What do you do to get that media cheap enough so that you can play it? Because if you're going to refer out, there's breakage, there's a ninth of the case, yada, yada, that you're dealing with.
At that point, I focus on different traffic sources like Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and YouTube ads.
Right. So where it's really.
I love YouTube pre-roll ads. I can't talk enough about them. They're so cheap. I am.
Don't tell anybody, Jay. I'm joking. Yeah.
Sam and me will take all of them. You guys don't need them. Okay, so don't use YouTube.
No, so what you're saying is you're not doing traditional media. You're going outside the box and finding whatever's cheapest. If YouTube got expensive, God forbid, you're a TikTok. TikTok got shut down. You're an Instagram.
I don't think about cheapest. It just has to be profitable.
But understood. But meaning if you're doing a national play and you really can only monetize one area well and the rest of it not as well, it better be pretty inexpensive. From I would think, challenge it. What do you think?
Well, if you're doing federal, I don't think you should have any problem generating clients these days. So that's a given.
Federal.
Even state, if you know what you're doing, you should nobody have any issues generating clients for your state. If you haven't got to that level, then maybe you should be partnering up or working with a company that could get you there, because there's no excuses anymore these days.
I'm sorry.
With pay-per-click costs, $100 plus per click, we're talking, I hate to say it, but fractions of a penny for some views on some of these platforms. So you can just get economies of scale and see so many more people and hammer them with your message to get them into your funnel that you don't necessarily even need to go with the paid click route. But
that's what he's saying. He's saying to get the volume. Well, let me ask, taking your question, Jay, and bring it back to Sam. Have you successfully done this with a traditional paid pay-per-click campaign versus stuff like YouTube and TikTok, et cetera?
My traditional starts off with Facebook. That's my definition of traditional. And I like those Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and TikTok ads. For me, again, I'm
targeted or not. Are you just buying cheap meat? Are you targeting these ads, or are you just sending it to the population?
I'll just share that these days, 80% of it is the creative, maybe 10% of it is the targeting. Targeting really matters very little by the time we were recording these. So yeah.
And is that partially because the algorithms are so good that they figure out what you're doing, or no?
These days, I mean, specifically talking about Facebook, because of the iOS update and the whole B15 Google and Facebook, that basically Facebook lost its power of targeting. But over time, Facebook got so smart that you basically didn't even have to give it targeting. When I started running tests, and a couple of my media buying friends started running tests, we started just targeting broad. I mean, just targeted based on geographic and just the age and no other targeting. And that always gave us the lowest cost per lead. Why? Because Facebook is sitting on so much data that it doesn't even matter based on targeting. At this point, they're already on sitting on that data, and they can still use that to be able to put it in the right people, in front of the right people. So yeah, targeting is not a concern. It just comes down to the test of how many angles can you take on different ads, and do that over and over, and do that on a weekly basis, and being very, very smart about it. And have some law firms that I've tested out 800 different ads, but once I find out one particular one, that one ad gets me a lower cost per lead and cost per acquisition, much lower than 99% of the other ads. So I'm just trying to find that top one, find it, run with it for as long as I can until other people come and figure out what I'm doing and try replicating it.
So we talked sort of before the show that ClickFunnels are really a fraction of what your passion seems to be automation. Talk to me a little bit. What are your passions in this space beyond?
Because you wrote a book about it. You wrote a book all about law firm automation. So let's talk about that, because I think it's important.
Yeah. So a lot of lawyers feel like they're kind of, the law firm runs them. And when my first time when I basically created the law firm that it could basically run on its own, it was very empowering. I'm like, I created this thing that could basically work itself and grow also by itself without me needing to get involved. And that's the true power. It's just very empowering. Why would you want to do that? Because it gives you that you could take that time and create more of these systems, or take it on to the end of the level, or do passion projects and teach and do whatever you want. Everybody has like different things. So that's the reason why. And I learned over time is that essentially the light at the end of the tunnel is everything can be automated. And people that say that it can be just haven't figured out yet how it could be. But the mindset is everything could be automated. It's little by little progression. And these are all things that Jay is amazing at, because, he shares these little systems and things. You just have to put those pieces together. And essentially the whole idea behind systems is when this happens, go automatically to do this. And that's either done by tools or what I use, virtual assistants. Those are like what, is what connects the pieces together. So I basically figured out a couple of different cool, snazzy ways to be able to automate things, including, how to automatically ask for reviews, which I've been able to automate to collect over 3,000. Also, I've been able to automate my email inbox. I literally answer emails less than 20 minutes a week. It sounds absurd. By the way, randomly, I don't know, by luck of draw, when you guys emailed me this morning, I'm like, I just happened to see it. I'm like, oh. But anyways, so I don't answer emails. I don't follow up with people. That's automatically.
Well, let me ask you a question. So that this morning we emailed you just confirming time for show.
That was like a pure luck.
No, understood. What would happen if you had not? It wasn't luck. What would normally your course be if you're automating emails?
If it's already, it's set up in a way where I have my team that knows the big picture. I meet with them to understand the big picture, and they have a role to go get that big objective done. So let's just have
would your team have seen it and said, okay, I'm asking confirm, it's on the calendar, it's on the calendar.
Just like you guys have set up. You guys, give them access to have roles, you give them access, they're in charge of that. Particular emails coming from particular people goes to their attention, so they'll be able to deal with those things right away. So yeah, they would have probably updated the calendar, or worst comes to worst, they have different layers of communication. We have Slack, but now like the ones that really need my immediate attention, like emergency things, they just like they text me on my cell. So they probably would have texted me, hey, by the way, your thing got updated or whatever. But the big picture is a lot of those things could be automated, and that's basically Virtual Law Firm Secrets kind of gives you those practical ways to be able to automate those pieces. And it's all practical. That's the best part, is that because
give us top 2 or 3 things that you're most excited about.
Emails, because it's the one that I think most people struggle with the most. I was also, again, in that world for like 3 years when the funnel stuff was working. I funneled people in through my emails because I didn't have time to talk to everybody on the phone. So I was like, I could answer, 40 emails in 30 minutes versus talk to one person for 30 minutes. So I funneled everybody through emails, but now I was stuck sitting there answering emails from like literally from 8 in the morning all throughout the entire day. And I was doing pretty well. I think at the time I was making like 30, 40K a month, but I was still a slave to sitting there answering emails. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want to do this forever. And out of desperation, I basically figured out, hey, I could use basically text expander tools and a tool called Mixmax that automatically could send emails and follow up emails for me inside of my Gmail. So I basically created a structure using Gmail. I created labels as kind of like a way to create different departments or organization out of the different types of emails. Then I created Gmail rules based on what the emails, certain words that the email contain, or if the email is coming from certain people that I built over time. And those emails are automatically labeled. And then I have different VAs who are in charge of those different divisions that use different Mixmax templates and sequences to automatically respond back to emails and automatically, send follow-up emails, which Mixmax takes care of that. And that was like the vision. And I could tell you, I'm like 3-4 years into this building the system, and I don't answer 98% of my emails. I only answer about 2% of my emails that are labeled to my attention, and those are just the most important ones. And even that, I got to a level of basically where I took my highest paying VA, which is my best VA, who knows about the big picture, who can also go through one round of those emails first, and then maybe whatever's left over, then I get involved every couple of days.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
Okay, so love it. Email hack. What else do you want to share?
Reviews, collecting Google reviews. I'll leave that little secret sauce in the book, but there's a very specific script that I use, which is a very certain way to ask. And a lot of people, there's a lot of sources and books out there. I don't know why nobody's like tapping into this specific way of asking. And I kind of figured out this formula from when I learned about how people were asking for link building. Seth, very appreciate this. So there was a certain way, I don't know if it was like Neil Patel's blog that talked about how to ask for links, and whenever you're doing SEO. And from that, I basically applied it to asking for reviews. And when I switched over to this particular way and also connected Mixmax to it, that automatically sends, the follow-ups for me. That's when I started having a much higher conversion rate of the people that would actually leave me reviews. So that's
and the follow-up is the key, I assume.
Yeah,
the follow-up is the key. And
I'm amazed. I've literally taken family friends cases for nothing, gotten remarkable results that have saved people's lives, and review never appears. It's unbelievable. I mean, they're not mean. They want to do it. They tend to do it when they tell me they do it, but it's like, unless you're constantly, so the idea, and I love Mixmax. It's a great overlay for Gmail. That is awesome. Okay. So you got to buy the book to get that. Awesome. To wrap this up, what is your third sort of productivity hack that you love?
The other tool that I use a lot is Zapier, which is more on the advanced side. And it's not something that everybody needs to get into, but just know this thing exists. And if you can just get somebody to set this up for you, that's key.
This audience, I think, they've been, within the greater community that we're in, that is a, that is something that is leveraged. The question is, using it to its fullest. I assume that, like most people, you scratch the surface on what's possible is probably what I'm trying to get between the lines from you. Yeah.
And I've pretty much been able to use Zapier on a grand scale. I'm 3 weeks into my monthly plan, and right now I'm at 104,000 automations. I think I'm going to get to around 120,000 automations per month. Yeah, that's a lot. That's because, there's a lot going on. It's a lot of leads being handled a certain way and follow-ups and things like that. It's just essentially, it's a way to connect data coming in, either leads or clients. Now, what do we really want to do with that? Well, if it's leads, I want to, notify our people automatically, set up text automations and email automations, add it to our CRM, things like that. And if it's clients, okay, when they sign the DocuSign, what should happen next? So add it to our hub, to our, CRM, or, take the process forward that way. And that's all it is. Like, I'm kind of like the orchestrator behind the big picture, and, have the right people, in charge of different divisions. And I set it up and then hand it off, go, you're in charge of this.
So do you have somebody, do you have a Zapier VA that's their job? Like, is that something that you say, as you grow, as you scale, that, and that's one of the things that we've talked about on the show, is being understaffed. And the great thing about remote workers in this day and age is that you can find people that maybe you get 10 hours a week from, that's their sole job for you, is this one thing in working on your tech. And so I'm assuming that you have people that is their role in your organization, is just this, nothing else. We're not hiring a remote person who's going to be a jack of all trades, answer the phones, intake, also file your pleadings for you, etc. But you're being a sniper, and you're picking out, this is a skill set I need to fill. I'm filling them with this role for X amount of hours, and then I could always increase as needed. Sound right?
Totally, yeah. This particular Zapier one, I set it up because I want to understand the big picture, but
well, let me ask, so Sam, let me ask you a question though. If that is you, where do you turn for people that are like Zapier friendly? You want, like, is this something you can go to a Fiverr and find the Zapier people, or is it something you really need to home grow?
I use Upwork for most of my ongoing hires. If it's a one thing, I need a creative Fiverr. If not, always Upwork. So that's my.
But is that something that is like, how much of this is inside of your head versus, I think basic automations I get.
This is the Seth and Jay fight, because I'm always saying, I'm just going to figure out, learn it, do it myself. And Seth's like, just hire somebody to do it. So he needs to know where to find somebody. And I'm like, I'm going to dive into Zapier this weekend. And
I would say that's probably Jay's superpower. So let him focus on his superpower, but that also means you shouldn't be doing anything else outside of this technical department. He's probably the CTO, as much as I'm concerned.
Well, he's the only guy who has his own software. I mean, like, he does stuff Jay's way. It's awesome.
But that's ultimately what he's best at and what he enjoys doing. So let him.
I would challenge the best at, but I would say he enjoys doing it, so it gets him through the day.
Yeah.
But the bigger point that Jay made is I don't have any jack of all trades. Everything I have is specialized. And the way that I have it is in Slack, it's my ongoing people. And then I have a bunch of people that I'm dating in Skype. And at this point, I have a repertoire. Anything that I need, I just like Skype message. I've already hired them on Upwork, and they're not working if they're not working. That means they're not charging me if they're not working for me. But if I need something right away, I just message in Skype, wake up to know next morning, and it's already done. So, over time, build out this portfolio of people that I can tap into.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, even with FirmFlex, we're actually building a funnel for a new product that we launched, and we actually went to Upwork and found somebody to specialize in that one thing, and are using them for this one project, and then we're done. And then I could go back, to Glenn if I find that I need it, but it's a very specific tool set I needed to have, and I think of Fiverr as the amateur version of Upwork, basically. Upwork, you're going to pay more. Fiverr, if it's something that I need to turn around. I just want to explain it for people that are out there.
Gotcha.
Some people who are listening to the show I remember when Upwork was freelance, right? I started using him back before they were Upwork.
Yeah, well, that's 2 iterations before that.
It was Elance or Freelance.
Elance.
That was their name. Elance. So
we're dating ourselves, Sam. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No worries. Do you mind? I'm gonna turn the back the table on you guys, because I know you guys are focused on value. I know, Jeff, I see your posts all the time, and Seth, and I remember your name from like 6 years ago when I started out. For the people that have been watching and listening to you guys, what's the one advice that you want to give them to get them to take action, to get them to the next level?
Oh, just in general?
Just in general, when it comes to, obviously their law firm growth.
Wow. I mean, again, that we have an entire show about it. So but
one thing top of mind.
One thing top of mind, I would say, for the average person, because I deal with this all the time, when there is a lawyer and you're trying to figure out if you want to grow, until you have somebody other than you, whether it be an admin, an ops person, a COO, that whole continuum, until there's somebody other than you, it's a profession, not a business. And that's one of those first key things that will get you to the next level, where somebody else is taking care of everything that you don't have to do.
For me, I think that one of the things that you can do as a small firm that really you miss out on some great opportunities, and I think it dovetails nicely with your use of automation, is using automation to stay in contact with your referral sources. Because I have found a lot of lawyers neglect their referral sources, And that is missed opportunity. And so for us, we went so far as to we created automation to send out thank you cards when cases come in. And lawyers who refer us business get tagged as the referring lawyer on a file. So we're using an API from a company called Handwritten to be able to generate those notes. We're doing things like automating GIFs that go out at certain points in the process, using APIs and Zapier when we can't use an API. So what I'm saying is a lot of people in this market that are saying, I'm going all in on digital marketing, but I think you need to segregate some period of time to actually get systems in place for your offline relationship building, because there's a lot of money that's on the table there.
So Sam, part of our show is just us disagreeing. And I would say, Jay, that may or may not work for others. You're Jay, and people love you.
I think people love me because I keep in contact with them.
Agreed, but that's your DNA. As much as you may say an introvert, you don't like going to conferences and seeing people, you still are this force of nature that you scaled, both some in person when you still like to go on the road, as well as now that you're curmudgeon, on the T-ball field. But to me, I think that like if I look at Sam, he's living proof that that's not necessarily the case, in that if you did nothing else but worked on your automations, would you do better? This is the thought question. I don't have an answer to it. Would you do more? And that's always the back and forth. Like you have a case study as to where you'd say no, interpersonal better, but generally for the average.
What I'm saying is take the automation to the interpersonal to relieve some of the burden on you every day, where you don't have to be the one executing the contact with people, but you're still able to feel like there is that relationship growing.
And the interesting part, Sam, that this comes from is the discussion we've had is, should your associates, as you scale, should they be developing business or doing it themselves? So yes, these things work, but if you're not a superstar like Jay, and most of our audience are superstars where this would work, where the automation of your relationship building is there, but is it scalable as you scale your firm beyond you?
No. And the reason is everybody has superpowers and what they're good at. And I want people to find out exactly what that is and triple down on it, and everything else delegate it to other person.
That would be
Jay's superpower is this, and he found his leverage. And I want you to triple down on it and make a course about it and help as many people as you can with that. And then
it's funny, Sam, that you bring this up. Before we shot this, I was at my video studio because we built a video studio for my office, and I put together a 30-minute how to be a better presenter to groups for lawyers that will eventually show here in the Law Firm Blueprint, just to give it away. But I'm going to make people opt in and give me their emails to get access for it. How about that?
I love it.
That's awesome. Sam, those were prophetic words to conclude on. That's awesome.
Really, Sam, thank you so much for being with us. I advise everybody, if you haven't picked up the book already, make sure that you get it. It's available on Amazon. I got mine. Let's
get the link in the
we'll have the link in the show notes for sure. It's a great book. It's an easy read, but the nuggets in there that you're going to take from it are really good. It's not a typical lawyer, let me tell you my life story. It is, let me show you what you need to do, practical tips, and I would highly recommend it. I hate reading books. I like to read magazines and blogs. I find it difficult to read books, but this one was an easy read, and my copy is marked up with ideas and things that I want to do. So thank you, Sam, for writing the book. It definitely helped me out.
Amazing. And could we also put it out to the universe that we're going to meet each other and have some drinks and hang out in person? Because
I'd love to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. I'd love to do that. I'll get to a seminar one of these days.
I was going to say this December in Jerusalem. I'll see you there, Sam.
Oh, nice. I love that. We were just there a couple of months ago, but we're already thinking about the next one in July. I think we'll be there in July.
Well, we'll be there December.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. Very nice.
All right. So that's going to do it for us here on the Law Firm Blueprint. Thank you, Sam, for being with us. We'll be right back to wrap up the show. We'll be right back. Well, Seth, I don't know what to say. I thought that was really fun. It's cool to talk to someone like Sam who is pushing the envelope. 2 weeks ago, we had a show where we were talking about getting out of your office, getting out of your headspace, looking at things from a new perspective. And I think Sam brings that to this conversation today, that there are things that you can revolutionize, change up, do differently if you just think about them a little differently. What were your takeaways?
No, absolutely. It's like pushing everything one step further, right? It's not like this is day one. We are all capturing people's information, but what are we doing with it? And the idea that you're going to send something of huge value to people may happen for a while, breaks down. I see this, for years in the DUI space, people sent very expensive letters when people have been arrested. If there's a way to sort of be able to keep that communication going, we see it. You land on vacation in Hawaii, and next thing you know, the whale watching people are constantly at you, and they're bringing you down. God forbid you actually reach out and have an interest. They're not letting up until you've either said, I'm not going on your trip and I've left the state, or you sign up. So, I think it's great. I think that each piece like this inspires you to push yourself further. I know you're naturally like this. You love tinkering with stuff, but it's just cool to see somebody who's done it from moment one before he put infrastructure in place.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. And you made a little mention about being on the T-ball field. And I want to talk to everybody, and just so the anecdote will take about a minute or so. My son's been playing on the same travel baseball team now for 3 seasons, and we had tryouts this past weekend, and we showed up. But there's some questions as to whether or not the team has enough players to be able to stick around, because some kids have moved away now that COVID is over. And so he actually tried out for another program. And boy, when you're used to doing something one way, when you see how other people do it, you could be really impressed with how other places. And so this other program, they held a different type of tryout. It blew my mind. Very professional. And I got to tell you, we're now moving on to a whole different program. And I wasn't looking to leave, but it was just why don't we see what our options are? And then I was blown away. And I was saying, why aren't my old people doing this? They should be doing that.
I just had a life moment. So my call before this is with a long lost college buddy. Genius. You knew he was ahead of the curve. He's taken on the real estate industry. He's taken on the software industry. He's now taking off the outsourcing industry. The guy is, and we'll do a show just talking about this. Maybe we'll get him on. This guy is so far ahead of the curve. What we're talking about now in the last 2 years, he's been doing for 10 years, first for himself and then otherwise. He has his own, the equivalent of 15.5 already built into his software, meaning like it is just, when you see these things and you're like, oh shit, this guy is doing these things, I think it pushes you, because like
we're playing checkers, he's playing chess.
Exactly. But the idea being that it just means you have to be one step better. Just take 2 or 3 steps, add some automations. What are you doing? You're paying this money on pay-per-click. What is happening with the piece? Can you, instead of just sending an email, get a video out? Those basic things, each piece incrementally making yourself better.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought of years ago of, instead of sending jail mail, which is letters out to people who've been arrested, if I could send them an email with a link to a video, I'd get better return. And then I was like, well, what if I record, the top 500 first names and then quickly edit it together so my video appeared to be customized? These are the kind of things that go through.
I'm well aware. I've known you for long enough.
I said,
and somewhere in a vault, there are 75 videos for the top most popular names.
They actually do exist.
Yeah,
they do exist. I'm sorry to say, but I did. We cut 1 2-minute video, and then I had, hi, I'm Jay. Hi, John, I'm Jay. Hi, Paul, I'm Jay. Hi, Chris, I'm Jay. And we just would,
as opposed to whatever it is now. Hey,
right, exactly.
Hey, this is Jay. I'm here to talk.
Right now, I'm like, nobody cares if it's about them particularly, but it's these are the types of things that we have to think about. The tech is out there. This was a great show, Seth. I know I got a lot out of it. I'm looking forward to it.
And look, it just inspires me because look, this comes naturally to you, and there've been different hackathons and zapathons and things like that. To me, I've outsourced it, and look, you could see that this guy loves it, and when you love something, the power of what you do with it is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks, so listen, this is going to do it for us this week here. Bless you, Seth.
Thank you.
This week on the Law Firm Bluesy, we're live, folks. There's no editing when this stuff goes on. We're gonna edit this week, just so you guys know. Next week is Thanksgiving. We are very thankful that you've been with us on this journey, especially taking it from Max Growth Live to now Law Firm Blueprint. Our group is going. If you have friends that you want to invite into the Law Firm Blueprint, please do so. Please share our podcast with as many people as you can. always give us a 5-star review and tune in every Thursday, except next Thursday, because we'll be eating turkey and we'll be off for next Thursday. But thank you so much for being with us. We are thankful for you. Seth and I both really appreciate you being part of our audience and giving us a chance to do the stuff that we love. And we hope we're bringing value to you. So thank you so much, and bye from the Law Firm Blueprint. Bye for now.